But let me just say this, man, seriously. Okay, so obviously I'm the OG, the old head, man, and I take pride in doing that. But one of the things about our lives as players is that sometimes we don't really connect with the past or the present generation, right? They don't know what we've gone through, right? And so I'll just tell you guys, because I've never had a real conversation with either one of you all. I watched you all in high school. I watched you all perform. I admired you guys, right? I mean, that's just from the heart, watching the things that you guys had to go through, especially with Hoop Dreams, it is no easy journey, right? People don't realize, even though it's a sport that we love, it's just not an easy journey. We go through so much, right, to get better, to be the best that we can be. And the things we have to face on a daily basis is not always revealed to other people outside of us and our close family. So I just wanted to commend you guys that, number one, to achieve what you achieved, but to continue to do the things that will affect people that's coming behind you, right? Because that's the most important thing, in my opinion, for a young person to be able to watch Arthur Agee, to be able to watch you guys and say, damn, this is who they are, this is what they went through, then I can do it. And that's the most important thing for me in my life today. So I just wanted to share that, and I appreciate you guys.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
The man joining us today is a Chicago native. He played basketball at Marquette High School, where he was named a Parade All-American. He then played point guard at my alma mater, Marquette University, under the legendary coach Al McGuire. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks and went on to play 5 seasons in the NBA. And since then, he is coached and scouted at the university and NBA level. He's done some incredible nonprofit work with the James Jordan Boys and Girls Club, and he has worked as a career counselor for the NBA, helping numerous young men. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, he has a doctorate. He's a doctor. We like to welcome to the show the one, the only, the true legend, Dr. Lloyd Walton. I'm Will Gates, and that's my dog.
Arthur Agee, welcome to the show, Dr. Walton. Really appreciate you coming on and doing this with us.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. It really is to be able to have a conversation with you guys and try to share what the familiarity that we all have, and just share my journey with you guys. It's a pleasure to do that. Yeah.
Basketball brotherhood.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So Dr. Lloyd, man, my first question for you is, man, just got to ask, do you remember the first time that you saw the movie?
I want to say...
We're going back to 1984 when it jumped off.
Yeah.
94.
Yeah. I want to say I saw it with one of my sons, okay, who wasn't born in Chicago. He's born in New York. And in the Bronx, he was a hooper. And I was telling him about you all. And in fact, he brought it to me. Do you know these guys? I said, well, I don't necessarily know them, but we're part of the brotherhood, right? And so he came to Chicago and we sat down and we watched the movie. And he had 1,000 questions, man, to ask, right? Really questions that I couldn't answer, right? Because we didn't have a relationship, so I couldn't answer, But that was the first time, man, been watching it with my son, Guy. Like I said, he's from New York, the Bronx, and he was a hooper. So some of the same experiences that you guys had, not the success on your level, but a hooper, with all the guys that come from New York, you name them, he knew them and hooped with them at, I forgot, the Riverside Church. Yeah.
And speaking of brotherhood, man, real quick, shout out to our brother out there, Butch Lee, and his son. My. Talking about the brotherhood, keeping it going in the next generations. Man, what a blessing.
Man, let me tell you, because they live in Puerto Rico, Matthew wasn't necessarily on that AAU journey, if you will, right? So he wound up being for a year, he wound up being at a school in Ohio that was just going around playing different schools about 4 years ago. And Butch called me and said, man, we're going to be in Indiana playing. So I'm there. So I drove out there to watch him play. And I said, well, he's got the basketball acumen. He knows what a point guard is supposed to do, okay? He's got that. Now let's try to find him a place to go. I brought in, I don't know if you guys remember Clyde Travis. Okay, so Clyde is a longtime friend of mine. So I called Clyde and said, hey, man, we need to look around for a school for Matthew. And we did, but long story short, Butch was in touch with the coach at Seton Hall initially, who referred him to a St. Pete's coach, who names escape me right now, who just went back to St. Pete's, and that's how he wound up there. The crazy part is that you just never know, man. You know, athletes just never know. And I have the same experience, man. The work that you do will benefit you if you're willing to commit to it and stick with it, right? No road that I know of any guy was paved straight and with gold. We just followed that road and we were there. That never happened to me and anybody I know. There was rocks, there was boulders, all in the road, right? We had to figure out how to navigate this journey that we've never been on. So Matthew had that kind of journey, man. And once he got to St. Pete's, Butch and I would, communicate from time to time. And then when the tournament came this year, right? So, this is like my brother for real. We were roommates, roommates at Marquette. Yes. So, we talking. And so the pairing comes up, the crazy part, pairings comes up. And so they got Kentucky. So we like, okay, well, this is a wrap. Okay.
Well, try to do your best.
You got to put it out there. But hey, you're going against Kentucky. You're 15 there too, right? I got my mom who knows Butch, my wife. I mean, everybody's on TV watching. And the crazy part about it is that the first tournament game that Butch played in the NCAA was against Kentucky with me at Marquette.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's the other crazy part. Kentucky kicked our ass that year too.
So they weren't playing.
They wiped us out. We had lost Luke, Maurice Lucas the year before he went pro, and we didn't fill that role immediately. And so they were just big, corn-fed dudes, just beat the dogs out of us, man. But the bottom line is that then when Matthew played Kentucky, man, we watching the game, and I'm like, okay, they staying close. Okay, this is a nice appearance. And then when you get down to the last 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like, damn, they might win this shit, right? And that's when obviously my phone started blowing up and texts started going, man. And I couldn't be prouder of an individual who just stuck with it, right? No matter what, not knowing what the end result's going to be. And then his dad, and I know how hard his dad worked him, seriously worked him. And when somebody's working you like that, there are days when you want to say, man, leave me alone, man. Hey, man, I'm cool. Leave me alone. But, he stuck with it. He obeyed his dad, followed his guidance. And, hey, man, he was on the biggest stage in terms of college basketball.
Yep.
Congratulations.
And then cop out and didn't take no transfer. Oh, it ain't working here. I don't like it's a small school. My man stayed in the mud and came out with victory. That's crazy,
man. That's crazy. Yeah. I see that portal now going crazy. And I think about people who could just bail out. And a lot of them are bailing out, And I don't want to sound, like it's not fair, but because sometimes people don't get treated fair. Okay, seriously. They don't get treated fair. They're sold a bill of goods and they go to a university and the coach really hasn't been honest with them, right? And you should have a choice. You should have a choice because if a coach gets offered a better job, he's out. He's out. No consequences, right? And I think that for a kid, man, he may never play structured basketball again in his life. This should be a great time for him. Then go somewhere else and see what you can do. As long as you figure out that you need to have an education in some way, shape, form, or fashion, in my opinion, because that basketball is only going to last for so long. So, yeah.
Yep.
We want to talk about that a little bit, too, because but I want to send a shout out to Butch Lee and his son, man, because he just signed with Missouri State. So, man, huge shout out to him. What another victory for that family. But we're going to jump a little bit into that, Dr. Walton. Agee and I, we do our show a little bit different. We want this is about you. This is about Dr. Lloyd Walton. So, my question for you is, because we want your origin story. What was it like growing up in Chicago? Describe your neighborhood growing up. What was it like during the 50s?
Well, first of all, let me just tell you this, man. The thing that stands out mostly in my life, my journey, is that I was the first male child born in my family in 40 years. Okay? 40 years.
What?
My great-grandparents had 12 kids. All of them were girls except one boy, and he only lived for 3 months. And so my grandmother had my mother, and my mother had me, and it was 40 years expired during that period of time. So I was loved. I was taken care of in every way, shape, form, or fashion that you could imagine. I never wanted for anything. And we talking about poor people now. We ain't talking about, didn't want nothing. I got a Benz in the garage and stuff like that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, I just had a really good meal, and I had decent, clean clothes to wear, right? But I went and lived with my aunt, uncle, who didn't have any kids in Chicago Heights. And that's kind of where I grew up. And they treated me like a little prince, man. This did everything for me, prepared me for school and stuff like that. But what got me with basketball journey, because I played everything, but the basketball journey I remember, and you guys, I know you ain't gonna remember this stuff. Outside nets, but they ain't nets, they're chains. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we remember.
Cabrini Green had those.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm probably in the 3rd grade and getting to school early just so we can play on the playground. And some guys over there hooping. I walk over there and I heard that chain ping, ping, when the guys was drilling it, right? And I was like, damn, how you make that sound, right? And for the rest of my life, man, there's nothing sounds greater than when you hit that all net, man, on them chains, right? Back then, man, we had to do everything. I mean, we had to sweep the snow off, right? We had to sweep the rain off, and we just hooped. We didn't have ESPN and all these kind of platforms to say, to say, I want to do this. We just hooped because it was fun with your boys, right? And that's all I did. I just hooped because it was fun. My 7th grade team, 8th grade team, all that kind of stuff. We just did it because it was fun to do. We also played football. We ran track. We did all those kind of things, man.
Wow.
Played bitty basketball, on our bitty basketball team in Chicago Heights, which was very, very segregated. I still got the picture. I was the only black kid on the team. I got a picture. I'm just a spot, man. I'm just a spot. And I remember it like it was yesterday, man. And so, when you become an athlete and you have some skills and what have you, people start to treating you just a little bit different, right? And it was different, but I was kind of familiar with it because being only the male child in my family, right? So I was treated a little bit different. So that didn't faze me as much as it did because it was white people, though, that treated me different. Because my family was from Alabama, and there were certain things that I could and couldn't do when I went to visit in Alabama. As a kid, don't look no white woman in the face. You got to go down to the store, make sure you say yes, sir, and no, sir, and come straight back, right? I remember those days, man, like it was yesterday. And my family was pretty well off in Alabama. Those were, my aunt had the first beauty shop built from the ground up with her own money. And her husband had one of the biggest churches in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So here again, I'm in a protective environment that has a number of resources for a young man. So I just enjoyed that. But the hoop stuff started changing. And you know what? When you grow up with, let me just say this, we all grew up in crazy neighborhoods, man. And I remember growing up in this neighborhood in Chicago Heights, and I remember the coach from Bloom High School, Wes Mason. He called me one day. They said, hey, man, Coach Wes Mason, the varsity coach want to see you. Okay, so I go see him. I'm like, why does this guy want to see me? He said, man, you got a lot of talent, but you hang around with the wrong group. I didn't understand what the hell that meant because I'm just with my same boys. We walk to school every single day. I pick up this one, we pick up 2 more there. We walking to school every day. We coming home together. We hoop together. What wrong group? Who is this, man? And I didn't understand for a long period of time that they start identifying us by who we hang out with and associated with. And I see them as friends. I didn't see them as creating any kind of problems that I knew of at all. But let me just say this, man. Things got really, really crazy in Chicago Heights with gangs. And my family said, look, we got to get you out of here. I'm like, you got to be crazy. Get me out of here. What do you mean? They sent me to boarding school in North Carolina, man.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, man.
The gang situations out there had got that
It was
bad
crazy.
where your family had to ship you off.
Hey, man, let me just say this. They started shooting, and one of my friends got shot. Didn't get killed, got shot. And my mom said, "This is it. We got to get you out of here." I hated it. They sent me to North Carolina to this boarding school, upper middle class boarding school. I mean, Denzel went there before. The guy who started on All in the Family was there before, so it was upper middle class. But, for me, I'm leaving my friends. I'm leaving an environment that I love to operate in. My friends, my boys,
How old are you at this
I'm
point?
a freshman. Okay, this happened in the middle of my freshman year of high school. I'm going to Bloom. Okay.
Wow.
So, and let me just say this, man. I didn't realize this either. So my mom goes down there with me, registers me for school, and the dean comes to by the office, and he's going to show me my dorm, what have you. And he says, "Hey, I just read your file. You're a pretty good basketball player." And I'm thinking to myself, how do they know this kind of stuff, right? I'm just playing. I don't know I'm good or not, whether that matters. So he said, "I want you to come out for the team tomorrow. Just show up at the gym." I don't know anybody, Long story short, man, I showed up. He put me on the team. I got a chance to perform in a game that I probably shouldn't have, but our team was playing so bad. Long story, I had a great game, right, coming off the bench. And that's when I got all my friends, right? All the girls, right? We come back.
Wow.
Look, we're down probably about 7. He puts me in the second quarter. I think I hit 4 or 5 baskets in a row. Halftime comes in. He doesn't start me. He shouldn't. We come back. He don't play me the third quarter. Fourth quarter, we down again, put me in. I hit some baskets, and we win the game. So now people going crazy. But also, there's a lot of teammates. Remember, they don't know me. Now they show their jealousy, right? I'm like, damn, right? There was a few guys that took me in, but the rest of the guys was like, this dude got a uniform, he got a chance to play, took my minutes in essence, right? And I'm like, but the next day they got an article in the school newspaper. Man, so that's when I started realizing if you can hoop, you got all the girls, man. So anyway, the school year ended, but I had to go back for summer school. So I get back home and I tell Mom, please let me go back to Bloom. I'm begging. She said, nope, you can't do that. So I said, look, I'll make a deal with you. I got to take 2 classes. If I get 2 A's, would you let me come back to Bloom? Well, she knew I couldn't get no 2 A's. She was like, of course, yeah, get 2 A's, you come back to Bloom. Look, man, I went down there and I killed that shit, man. I got
turned into a nerd overnight.
I'm a professor, man. I'm doing everything. When I got to 2 A's, I realized, I said, well, I'm not even going to tell her. I'm just going to go back home, right? So I went back to the crib a week later, and the mail came, right? And she never even asked me how I did. The mail came, she opened up that. She's like, what? Boy, who did this one for you? I'm like, Mom.
You changed this grade?
So hey, man, I got the 2 A's, so she let me re-enroll in Bloom the next year. And so it's beginning of the year. And I'm having my fun. I don't even know if I'm going to hoop anymore. Honestly, I hadn't even thought about hooping no more. But I'm at a party in the neighborhood, man. This is like October. I'm at a party in the hood, basement party back then. And one of the guys come downstairs. He say, man, this white dude outside looking for you. I'm like, shit, okay. I ain't really do nothing, but in our neighborhood at this time of night, ain't nothing but the police and the insurance man. And the insurance man ain't coming around at night. Okay. Damn. Now, mind you, I'm in that basement, right? Ain't but one way out. I said, all right, well, I'm going to go out here and see what it is. So I walk out there. The guy, he's standing over in the light, kind of shade. He said, you remember me? I'm like, I seen you around, He said, I saw you play. I see you playing up at the Y. We want to give you a scholarship. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, I've been to your aunt and uncle's house. We called your mother and grandmother in Chicago, and we want to give you a scholarship. And your aunt and uncle told us where we might find you. So come on, get in the car. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't know you like that, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the hood. I don't trust you. I was like, okay, I'll meet you at my house, but I ain't getting in the car with you. Now, mind you, I told you my aunt and uncle were older people. So when I got about a half a block from their crib, the lights were on. So I knew he had been there. I was like, damn. Walk in, my aunt says, call your mother. I call my mother, my grandmother answers. She said, son, it's the best thing for you. Here's your mom. My mom. My mom starts giving me the spill. I'm begging her, Mom, please don't make me do it. Please don't make me do it. She said, son, seriously, man, this is going to be the best thing for you, you know. We want you to have a great life. This is going to be the start of it. I'm begging still. She said, all right. And so the coach is sitting in there, and I hear him asking my uncle, you have any ties? And I'm thinking about ties. What the hell? So I get off the phone. I'm like, I'm sitting there. So he said, yeah, you need some ties. You got to wear a shirt and tie to school. Shirt and tie? You know, I'm a t-shirt, polo, you know, I'm a tie. Now, here's the kicker, man. Okay, so I get the whole rundown of Mount Carmel High School. First of all, it's 25 miles from my house, right? So I'm a Christian. It's Catholic, right? I love the girls, right? It's all boys.
It's all
now
boys.
I got to wear a damn tie. Are you kidding me? So I will say this, man, and you know, I get really caught up with this because that man picked me up every single day and drove me to Mount Carmel. And after school, he would bring me home. It didn't just change my life. In so many ways, it could have just saved my life. I began to realize who I was as a person and as an athlete. I began to realize how people looked at us, okay? At first of all, as a Black person, they're always going to see that first and foremost. But when you are an entertainer or you can add to their goal, to their story, they begin to change and treat you different. And I can really tell that by how they treated some of my classmates. They were treating them very different than they were treating me. A story that I've told us in my book that's coming out, and I just jumped to that because it was so important, man. You know, Mount Carmel has this unbelievable tradition of academics and mainly football. Hey, man, my senior year, and I'm getting letters from everywhere. I got 4 Fs my junior year, but four or 5.
Wow!
I still hooped every game, every single game.
Wow!
I was allowed to hoop. Yes. Okay.
Really?
Now, why did I get 5s? Because I didn't apply myself. Mind you, I'm coming in. I practice all day. When I get home, my aunt and uncle would ask me, did you do your homework? I would just say yes. They ain't checking no homework, right? Yes, I did it. Grab me a bite.
Right.
I'm headed to the gym or wherever the folks are, and I'm going to kick it with my boys because I miss them. That's it. It was simple as that. But I remember Tony Baroni. I know you guys remember Tony Baroni was my high school coach, my second one. And he came to my class one day and he put this magazine down and says, look at this. And I looked at him like, okay. He said, you see your name? I was like, oh, yeah, okay. What is this? He said, you're All-American. I'm like to myself, All-American? What's that mean? He said, you're one of the best players in the country. How do people know this, right? I mean, you know, all this kind of stuff. Not that, yeah, I knew it. I was just like, how do people know this, right? And so because of my failure to prepare myself academically, I had to go to a JC. And, I went to Mobley Junior College. And Mobley had a great history of basketball players. It was cool. But it was something about being at the JC. It was just something about it, man. I didn't feel right about it. I had a great year, average 24. You know, we had a good team, you know, all that kind of, but something just wasn't right. And as soon as the season ended, I wrote, this is so crazy because we didn't have no email, we had no text and none of that. I wrote Tony Baroni a letter when I told him that, you know, I didn't like it. And is Marquette still interested in me? And a couple weeks later, he wrote me back and said, they sure are. It's like, okay, I'll call you when I get back home. So when I got home, you know, I told him back home, like, okay, what's going to happen? He said, all right, well, they'll be in touch. Now, mind you, people still owe me. I mean, Missouri, I mean, Illinois, all these other schools still owe me. But I want to go to Marquette. And because of Al and because we got new uniforms every year. And if we got tournament, we got new, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm a kid, right?
Absolutely.
So I decided, man, you know what? Marquette ain't really did anything. I'm going to go to Florida. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I'm good. They send me the ticket. I got the ticket. And the day before, the phone just started blowing up, going crazy. I mean, all Al's boys are calling, he's calling. So finally, he got my mother on the phone. He told my mother, yeah, we really want your son. Absolutely. We're going to take care of him, make sure he gets his degree, all that kind of stuff that mothers want to hear. He said, we're going to send Rick Majerus, our assistant coach, down there to pick him up to show you this. So Rick gets there. And all right, I'm packed already because I'm going to Florida the next day. I'm ready to go. So he's like, okay, Lloyd, I'm going to drive you to the airport and put you on a plane. I'm like, man, I'm not getting on no plane. Look, you told me that Milwaukee is only an hour and 20 minutes from Chicago. I ain't getting on no plane, man. I ain't doing it. He says, it's against the NCAA rules. I said, I don't care. Well, I ain't going there. He said, all right, well, look, I don't know. Do you all remember Rick Majerus? He's a rotund, chubby. Okay. Well, he said, look, he asked my mom, where's the best pizza place at? So he said, we're going to buy a large pizza and get some Coke, and I'm going to get a Diet Coke, and we're going to go back. We're going to go to Milwaukee. And that's what he did, right? He said, don't ever tell anybody that.
Wow.
And got me to Marquette. And this is really crazy, too. The first place he took me was to Brian Brunkhurst's house. Brian Brunkhurst was a referee in the NBA. And when he took me there, stuff started happening. Like, well, why would he take me to there? And the guy talked to me about, hey, how it's good to be at Marquette. Milwaukee's a great city. We love sports and all this kind of stuff. And never know, maybe I'll see you in the NBA one day. I'm just like, this guy's crazy. NBA, you got to be nuts, man. Anyway, I had to sit out a year. And I found out much later on that the reason why Marquette had not backed off, they were trying to find a way because they couldn't get me a scholarship, find a way to get me in. And they had this program for minorities. And they finally found some way to get me in through that my first year. And so my first year, I sat out. And I couldn't even practice. I couldn't do anything. But I'm going to practice every day. This is me. This is going to be my team. I'm thinking this, right? And I remember who kept me, God rest his soul, became my best friend, Maurice Lucas. We're walking back from practice one day. I ain't playing. And he pulled me to the side. Yeah. He said, man, we already got 4 good guards. And so I don't know why they brought you here. Luke was 6'8", 260, brute. I looked him right in the eye and said, well, you better tell one of them which one ain't going to play because I'm starting. Swear to God. Next season, I'm starting. And he started for 3 straight years, man. That sophomore year, we wind up playing for the national championship. It took me 30 years to watch that film. We played against North Carolina State in Greensboro, North Carolina. They just took it to us. Al got 2 technical fouls, both snatched a couple shots out of the air, okay? They ain't seen brothers snatching them out the air, They call goal 10. Al gets the tech, man. The lead is like 2 points. Then before it's all over by half, we down by 9. So it just kind of took it out of us, man. And and we lost. But it was a great experience. And when you're young, you guys can attest to this. You don't know. I just thought, well, we'll just be back next year. What's the big deal? We lost. Okay, we're coming back. We're going to be good, right? And that's the following year where Luke was gone. He went pro. And, Kentucky kicked our butt, in the regions. And right after that, they brought in Jerome Whitehead from Waukegan. So now we got Jerome, we got Butch, Earl Tatum, who was called, the Black Jerry West at the time. So now my senior year, man, we loaded. I mean, we loaded, and we know we loaded. And I made the decision because people who don't know me and knew supposed to say, damn, he's not a scorer. Well, hell, I averaged 25 in high school, averaged 24 in JC. My first year at Marquette, being a point guard, averaged 12. My second year, I averaged 15. But because we were loaded, and I believe something that Al told us, he said, man, when you win, everybody will get a chance, okay, to go to the league. If you win, okay, you got to win, though. Yeah. And I made a decision, man, I'm going to make sure that we run this shit and we're going to run it right, okay? I don't have to have a lot of shots. I want to win, okay? It was not about making it to the league. It was about winning. So we're number 2 in the country. Indiana's number 1. And back then they had this old crazy way of whatever part of the country you're from, that's the region they put you in. We're ranked number 2. Indiana ranks 1. They put us in the same region.
Wow.
It wasn't but 2 years. Yes, both was in the Midwest, right?
Because y'all both in the Midwest.
One in one region, one, you know what I'm saying? So Indiana was loaded too. I got a picture of a jump ball, and all 10 guys in that center circle went pro. Okay, yeah. Quinn Buckner,
what?
Scott May.
Who was on that Indiana team?
Okay, Kent Benson, and I'm talking about all of those were first round picks. I mean, yeah, were first round picks. Yeah. So, but we were loaded, man, and they beat us in the second half. When like I said, it took me 30 years to actually watch the film. And the second half, they came out, we were not prepared. They put some kind of pressure on our ass, man. Like, we was like, shit, man, get back a little bit, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't no joke, man. They took us out of our offense, you know, so, and we still played. I remember there's always maybe a play or two in a big game that you remember. And I remember we were down by 3 in the second half, and Bernard Toon, who was an All-American out of New York, freshman, stole the ball. And man, just pick up. He stole it, pick it up, give it to me, man. He tried to make a move and get it down court, and he lost it again. They scored, and that just kind of took us out of it, you know. But that was the best team Marquette ever had by far. My journey at Marquette was 78 and 11, winning and losing. Yeah, we wasn't no joke, man. We were serious about it.
Damn.
And then the crazy thing is that the next year, they lose 7 games in 1 year and win the championship, right? And so,
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So I wonder what is your family saying after you done left Moberly and you go to Marquette, you sit out that year, then you win it your sophomore year. At this point, they watching you on TV. Are they saying like, man, well, I guess he made the right decision?
Basketball was never a priority for my family in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Now my mom.
So they didn't look at it like, like if he does well and win.
No. The year I sat out, I came home that summer, and Larry McNeil, because every year we lost somebody, and people forget about Larry McNeil, but he went pro, and he had told me that agents were asking about me. So I get home that summer, I tell Mom, agents, been asking about me to go pro. She said, boy, shut up. Get out of here, man. Talk about no damn pro. You ain't going nowhere. You're going back to school and go to class. That's what you're doing. Okay. That's what it was, man. My family, my mom supported me in the sense of being at games. That's what she did. She flew to national championships. She flew to regional games. She did all that kind of stuff. But in terms of going pro, we never talked about that, man, until my senior year. It was just like, go to school, get your degree and get you a good job. That's what it was about. And I didn't think about it, honestly, until my senior year. In my senior year, this is an unbelievable, it may not be unbelievable, this is a crazy story. So now we're one of the best teams in the country. Obviously, people are seeing me play, seeing all of us play, but then now people are starting to talk about the possibility of going pro, of making it to the NBA. And probably January, I started getting a call from, I won't tell you who the guy is until later. I started getting a call from this guy. He's a runner for one of the biggest agents in basketball and football, but he's based in Chicago. This guy is calling me twice a week, right? Just telling me, hyping me, man. You're going to be a first round pick. You're going to be a first round pick. You're better than so-and-so. You're better than so-and-so. I'm like, I'm starting to buy into that. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Twice a week.
Yeah.
So, draft time comes up, and they didn't have no tryouts and nothing like that, no pre-draft, none of that, right? So the day of the draft, and I was getting ready to do a piece on this, which I'm still going to do later today. The day of the draft, I'm nervous. I'm filled with anxiety, right? So he said, you're going to go late first round, definitely second round. Okay, I'm cool. All right. So I said, man, I got to get out the house. I go with my girlfriend, and we go play some tennis or what have you. I got my radio on as soon as I get back in the car. I'm listening to the draft because ain't none of this hullabaloo like we got now, right? Ain't none of that. No, heck no. So I get home, and my mother said, Wayne Emery called. Now, Wayne Emery, first black general manager in the NBA, was the general manager for the Milwaukee Bucks. Him and I had met a number of times. Wayne Emery called from the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm like, okay. He said, call him. All right. So I'm still kind of like, okay, all right. So I call him. He say, hey, congratulations. We drafted you to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm like, wow. Now, I know the Milwaukee Bucks makeup because I'm at Marquette. They got a lot of guards. A lot of fucking guards.
Right.
Not only do they have a lot of guards, they just drafted Quinn Buckner, who just came off the Olympic gold medal. They drafted him their first pick. I mean, I'm happy, but I'm sad, right? Because I'm like, how the hell am I going to make this damn team? And back then, we were 12 players, and 2 of them was going to be white boys, period. I don't care what nobody said. That's what 2 of them was going to be white boys, right? So y'all got very few spots. You know, put me in this thing, man. I called Hank Raymond's assistant coach at Marquette. And I probably was crying at that point, man. He was like, look, here's the deal. You got to go there, and you got to do what you've done all your life is play your ass off, work hard, you'll be okay. Well, that wasn't soothing to me. I'm like, shit, no, I want to be a first-round pick. I was the 42nd pick in the draft, man. So I'm like, man, this is crazy. I know. And, hey, man, I did what everybody does, man. You know, we come from Chicago. There's a certain attitude we have about the game and how we're going to go about it, right? So I went through everything, the rookie camp. Then they sent us to L.A. As a team out there. I went out there, I worked my butt off. I killed. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was invited back to the veteran camp. It wasn't a guarantee. And veteran camp, that's when I began to see things that I never had understood before. I started seeing guys being traded, being cut. And the beauty of it for me was all these people that was being cut and traded were guards. I was like, every 4 days, I was like, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And the thing about it is that because I was at Marquette, and these were the Bucks at the before the season would start, they would always come down to Marquette and we would all hoop together. So I knew them. So Gary Okal, who was a first round pick for the Bucks several years ago, now he's gone to Cleveland. Jim Price, who of Louisville, was a first round pick the year before that. Now he's being traded. So now I'm like, damn. And here's the other part that worked out for me. Quinn Buckner was holding out. So I'm like, I got that spot, right? So, hey, man, all this stuff is, you be thinking about, where you're going to fit or if you're going to fit. And I fit perfectly. And I remember getting hurt in training camp, had to sit out like maybe a week. So I don't know what I was thinking about, man. I didn't even go to practice. I was staying at the hotel. So I show up. I think I might have got a call. I just showed up at practice, and the coach was like, man, where you been? I was like, I've been at the hotel. He said, no, you need to have your ass here. What are you doing? You got to get, even if you hurt. You got to do everything. So I'm like, okay, I'll be here, coach. I'm sorry, I'll be here. So, hey, man, they made all their cuts and all that stuff, man, and I made the team. But, my family was happy because I was happy. Right? They didn't know what it meant, but they were happy because I was happy because that was my dream. And, putting on the uniform, Milwaukee Bucks uniform, and my man, I remember putting it on for preseason, and I was happy. And my guy was Bob Damage, who was just put in the Hall of Fame last year. He said, no, man, you ain't happy about that, man. Hey, this is preseason. You got to be happy when you're on this roster. When the season starts, that's when it counts. So I kind of tempered my emotion, like, okay, all right. He said, because you don't want to be just somebody to talk about I tried out. You want to make the team. So I just tempered myself. And that final cut and roster, up to the last minute, I'm on pins and needles. I'm at the hotel waiting for the call, right? That you've been cut. That's what I'm waiting for, that you've been cut. And I didn't get the call. So I went to practice the next day. And I joined the group, man. And it was a lifelong dream. But I'll tell you the one thing that happened to me in my first year that made me realize that I made it to the NBA. We're playing back then the New Orleans Jazz was what they were called. They had Pete Maravich. They started me the third quarter. Remember back then they used to have a jump ball for every quarter. So they started me in the third quarter. And I walk out there and Pete Maravich said, damn, Lloyd Walton from Marquette. I was like, this motherfucker know who I am. Oh my God.
What?
Hey, man, I don't care what nobody else said or did. Pete Maravich know who I am, man.
The wizard knew
right?
who you were.
And the other thing that happened, we coming down on the break, man, and we know Chicago is that. I mean, we know if our ball handler. I did a move and put that shit between my legs with one hand and went to the cup and threw some shit over my shoulder. Pete Maravich just said, "You gonna make them quit? You gonna make them quit?" I was like, so, hey man, that was the joy. Seriously. Larry Costello was our coach. He got fired after 13 games because we wasn't winning. They were rebuilding. First time I ever seen a player say, "I do what I want to do," was Bob Dandridge. We're in the midst of practice, and he just walks off the floor. And Costello's like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" He said, "I just got hurt." Just got hurt, yeah, when I walked over that line. So I ain't practicing. Bobby had won a championship with Kareem and Oscar, and we were rebuilding. He don't want to be no rebuild. He want to go somewhere they're winning. So coach got fired. Don Nelson was assistant coach. He took over. I remember the day he took over. He walked in the gym and said, "The shit has hit the fan. It's going to be real, real different for everybody here." And
wow.
Yeah. That year, everybody developed. We worked hard. We developed and made some good trades, some good picks. Because I came in with Alex English and Quinn Buckner. The next year, Kent Benson and Marcus Johnson. So we were building the kind of team that we needed.
Man, people forget about Alex English, how cold he was.
Right?
Damn.
Man.
Like, the shit he was doing.
And the best thing that happens, because a lot of time things happen and we think that it's really a problem and it's not going to work out. The best thing that happened for Alex was that he got traded from Milwaukee to Indiana. That's when it first started. And they started putting the ball in his hand and say, "Score the basketball for us." Mm-hmm. And he started scoring 18 or 20. And then next thing you know, he gets traded 2 years later to Denver. And that's when they said, "This is what we doing. We going up and down. Yeah. Go get yours." And that's when he became a prolific scorer. But people, you're right, Arthur, that people forget about Alex English. Was a great guy too, man. Really, really good guy. So
I remember he was like top 5 in scoring, right?
Absolutely.
Like when he got to Denver, he was averaging like 25, 26.
Yep, he was killing them, man. So everything went as planned for the most part, but I was not satisfied as a player. I wanted that spot, man. I wanted to start. I mean, seriously, in the depths of my heart, I wanted to start. And I know a lot of things hurt me in my evaluation because we didn't run the ball, period, at Marquette. There was no such thing as fast break. The only fast break I'm telling you right now, the only fast break you could have under Al McGuire is if you stole the ball. Wasn't no get it off the glass, let's go. And you got 7 All-Americans and we walked the ball up the floor and we ran our plays, period. And we D'd your ass up. You wasn't getting more than 55 on us. We was going to shut your ass down. And that's what we did. Now, as a ball handler, athlete who could put the ball in the hole, that was counterproductive for me, okay? But I bought into the winning, okay? Not the winning of it is what got me, right? Because I ain't getting up down the floor. How you 6 feet, you got to walk it up every time and pass it and cut.
Right.
That's not, but I didn't know, and I have no regrets, but I'm just saying that's how it was. And I played against Quinn. We grew up together. He was in Robbins. I was in Chicago Heights, So it was always that battle. Shit, I know what I could give him. Yep. I wasn't even no doubt in my mind, right? But here's some Indiana, national champion. Now you go to Olympics. You win a gold medal. You're the first pick. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to say, "All right, this guy's better than you. And we'd have made this guy the first pick. Then I need to lose my job because I didn't do it right." So every day I'm battling with Quinn. Quinn was a physical player, was not a great offensive player, physical, tough-minded. By the second year, though, I felt like I should get a legitimate shot. And that wasn't happening. They used me as a role player, to get the game going, to change the momentum and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, man, and so my life started to change. It was the first time in my life that I was not an integral part of a basketball team. The first time since I picked up a ball from Biddy basketball. And honestly, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do, right?
Wow.
I'm kicking and I'm having fun, We smoked a little weed, got where we were. I get turned on to some coke, snort some coke. I'm like, damn, shit, this is different. Okay. So that just morphed into now, okay, you get a DNP, you don't play. I'm like, man, this is crazy, man. I go to the crib, smoke a joint, forget about it, get up the next to go to practice. Then next thing you know, I meet this guy. He says, "Hey man, want some of this?" Damn, I feel alive and shit. Next thing you know, I didn't realize how depressed I had become. Okay, nothing mattered to me. The thing that I loved the most didn't even matter to me. It was just showing up because I had to be there. Mean, get to practice early, stay late. Soon as the practice was over, never before had I ran out the gym to get home. Now I'm running out the gym. Can't wait to get to the crib, get me a buck, right? And so you know what happens, man. Your skills begin to diminish, right? Your focus begins to diminish. All the things that I had become and got me there now became secondary. And so by the 5th year, I was just showing up, man. I was just showing up, seriously, you know. And they had to let me go, you know. And in retrospect, but even during the past, I knew it. But I didn't know what to. I was telling my wife, like, you know, people get caught in situations. We didn't have a substance abuse program in the NBA back then. We had none of that. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know I was depressed. Okay, because depression.
Right. That's what I was gonna ask you, Doc. Was like when you said you was depressed, like you don't even know it because you're actually going through the. Man, I'm not playing. I'm not being an integral part of this basketball team, and that is affecting me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so no one around you wasn't able to communicate that because you, like you said, you didn't even know. You was like, I just know I'm not happy with what I'm not being able to do.
Everybody focused in on just basketball. They didn't focus in on the person, which was me. Like, what's wrong? How do you feel? What's wrong? You're not actually playing. Why aren't you playing? Are you doing what you always done? Are you getting to practice early? How do you feel? At this point in time, I ain't getting no rest. The coach got me up. You know, I'm falling asleep maybe at 6 a.m. Got to be up in 2 hours, get to practice. You know, my whole life had changed. My life was discombobulated. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I'm just knowing I got to get to practice. What time I got to get there. What time I got to be at the game, you know? So it was just so different. And I didn't realize it, man. And I went on this 8-year, what I call an 8-year binge, okay? And the 8-year binge, you know, my family knew he's on drugs. But I was, but I wasn't on drugs just because it was drugs. I was on drugs because the only way I could feel better about myself was to use the drugs because I was depressed. So to cut to the chase, man, because the beauty in life is that, you know, the light comes on at some point in time and you have to be able to look at the light and move forward.
What was that light for you, though? What was that light?
I'm getting ready to tell you. I was at a drug house, right? Sitting around, this dude come in, you know, I'm getting high. He said, "Man, you know, let me get something." I'm like, "I ain't getting you nothing, man." So he gets pissed. He's like, "Man, you ain't nothing but a dope fiend has been anyway." Dude, you don't even know who I am. What you talking about, man? So I finish with mine. I get up, I go to the bathroom. I finish using the bathroom. You know, in every bathroom, mostly above the sink, as I was washing my hands, there's a mirror. And I look in that mirror and I see just what that man said. "You're a dope fiend has been." And it broke me. It broke me like I've never been broke before. Because now I got to walk out past these guys because I'm gone now. I can't stay here. And I left there. And I don't know if you know the makeup of Chicago and what have you. Now I called somebody. They gave me a ride to Hyde Park. The next morning I woke up. I walked from Hyde Park to, what's the name of that damn hospital? It's downtown. One of the best hospitals in the city of Chicago. I don't know why I can't think of it now. Northwestern. I walked from Hyde Park to Northwestern. I said, I got to go.
Northwestern?
I walk.
Damn.
I got to go get me some help, man. This is not me. And I don't even know what the help looks like.
Doc, from Hyde Park,
yes,
Lakeshore Drive, man, to Northwestern downtown.
And so when I get there,
damn.
At that time I was married to a flight attendant. So when I get there, you know, they got to do the intake, give me your name. Do you have insurance? Yes, I'm on her insurance, et cetera. So they would sit here. We got to do all this paperwork, stuff like that. So the lady comes back out about a half an hour later. She says, I can't find you on your insurance. I said, yeah, I'm on insurance. Yeah, she works for, at that time, TWA. She said, well, we'll do further research to find it. So I get up, I go to the payphone, I call her. She's in New York. I said, hey, what's the problem? I can't get, they can't find me on insurance. I'm trying to get some help. I finally went to the hospital, get some treatment. She said, oh yeah, I took you off that shit 3 months ago. So now I'm scared. Man, I'm scared for real, because if I don't have insurance, I cannot be admitted to this hospital. That means I got to go back out in the streets. I called this young lady who's like an angel to me. She came and picked me up and took me home. I relaxed, I calmed down, got a good meal. Next day, I got up and called my mom and said, hey, Mom, I went to get treatment yesterday, and Maria took me off of her insurance. I don't have no insurance. She said, son, God came to me a year ago. I put you on my insurance. And here's the number.
Wow.
This is 1987.
And Mom knew something a year ago prior.
She said, I put you on my insurance. I mean, this is.
And she didn't even tell
you. Man, God works ways that we can't even explain. We don't even understand.
That is amazing.
And the next day, man, long story short, I got in the treatment facility, and first thing I did when they sent me to my room, I got on my knees and I prayed.
Well, at least, my dad would always say, well, at least you knew how to pray.
Yeah, man.
At least you knew how to do one thing. And that was to get on your knees and pray. Most people with addictions and depression, they don't want to give themselves like that. They feel like, they talking to a invisible God.
A religious family, and I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. But I came from a religious background, and I knew that I had done and tried everything that I possibly could to do it on my own. But I hadn't gone to God. And so I went to God and I prayed that he would lead me of this addiction. And that was 1987, November 4th, and I have not used drugs since that day. And, 30 plus years ago.
Damn. What a testimony, Doc. That is
my life
crazy.
Changed almost immediately.
Absolutely. Dr. Lloyd, I'm sitting here, man. First of all, just as a fellow Marquettean coming under you, I feel like I should have known your story even when I got to school. We should have known your story, man, because you're talking about having something to fight for and to play for. Coming from Chicago, because, man, I was there with Bo, and Bo used to talk about you all the time. But I never got this side, man. First of all, I just want to say this, man. I am so just encouraged and inspired by your testimony this morning. It's just blowing. Like, I'm talking about to the point, like, I would probably ask you a million questions. I've been so quiet because I've been so in tune, just like, man. But I do want to ask you this, man. Can you just share about your love between you and your mother? Because I keep hearing this theme, man. And for her to do that, because Agee and I, we know the roles our mother played for us. Man, can you just take us down there a little bit?
Hey, man, my mom is my best friend. First and foremost. Nobody has ever listened and supported me the way she has, in her own way. Whenever I had an issue, and I mean whatever I had an issue or whatever it was, even during my substance abuse years, she was always listening. She wasn't trying to mandate you got to do this and that. She just wanted me to live better. She wanted me to stop, but not knowing how to tell me how to stop or what do I need to do. She just was supportive, right? She saw her son going from this to this. She saw it. It was killing her. We started shooting my documentary. I was going to tell you guys that we started shooting my documentary about 2 months ago, and just to hear her talk about what she went through during my addiction, man.
Wow.
But, I talk to her every morning. What's up, Mom? I don't care where I'm at in the world, where we're in Italy, Paris, France, I call Mom, what's up? And if I don't call her, she going to be going crazy, Why you ain't calling me? I want to make sure you're all right. Mom, I'm 60-something years old. Are you kidding? I'm cool. She don't care. So, man, I know that most of the time, particularly young black men or black men in general, we have a special affinity for our moms. You know what? It's kind of like our backbone, right? And she's been that, man, in every situation. She's been there. I remember, I just tell you, I remember Mom Carmen, she gave me this picture that she put me, I'm from the hood, she put me in a leather suit. I had leather pants, leather coat.
The pants and the jacket was leather dye.
The pants and the jacket. You know, I get to Mount Carmel. It's like, you can't take a picture in that. I called my mom. She's working in Inglewood. So I called Mom. They won't let me take a picture. Why? Because they say I got on leather. I'll be there in a minute. Hey, man, my mom from the hood, too. So I don't have to tell you, after she got to them priests, you tell my son the way you don't pay for shit, motherfucker. He don't wear that leather suit, they taking his picture, and if you don't like it, you can kiss my... Oh, man, look. Let me tell you, that priest looked out the door and said, hey, Lloyd, come take your picture. Oh, man. And it's been like that my whole life, man. I'm fortunate to have her. She's the matriarch of our family now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very, very special. It will always be special. She's 87 years old. She's still telling me what to do. She had a great life herself. She was a Playboy bunny many, many years ago. So, you know, she was the fire back then. And she said, I'm still the fire now. Yeah. So she had a good life, man, for herself. And I think I gave her some things to be proud of. And certainly when I had an opportunity to walk across that stage to get my doctorate, I remember her because, you know, man, I told you it was a challenge for school for me because I didn't like school. You know, it was just a necessary evil. And I remember coming off that stage with my hood and stuff on, and she hugs me. She said, son, just think, you hated school. I said, no, Mom, I hate school now. Yeah. I just did this, right? I ain't never liked school, man. But I gave her something that she could really be proud of because as you can imagine, when your son is going through an addiction, people are talking, period. Yeah. Right? And the story is being told over and over, and it's probably getting worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And she had to live through that as well. Yep. And for me to come back and be able to get a, you know,
what year was that you graduated and got your doctorate?
7 years ago.
Wow.
Yep, 15. Yeah. So
you went back to school for how many years?
Well, I went back to school to get my master's first. That was crazy too, because once I got clean, you know, I got jobs. And so I'm thinking like, okay, I'll tell you this real quickly. I'm coming home one day, I got paid, and I get at a stoplight, and we got paid, but I threw the check in my briefcase. Mm-hmm. So I pulled the check out, and I know how much I'm getting. This is my first check, and I look at the check, I'm like, whoo, I got a baby on the way. I don't know what I'm going to do. This ain't going to work. This ain't enough, right? So I started talking to people like managers and directors at different places and said, like, I want to get what I need to do. They said, you got to get some more credentials. It took me 2 years, but I went back to school and got my master's degree. And as soon as I got that master's, just started opening up, just started opening up. And then, I'd always had in my mind, I want to get a doctorate. Why? Because people in the fourth grade, that teacher said, we didn't want to do anything but play basketball. We never could learn anything. That resonated with me to the day. I was like, this is not going to happen. I want to get me a doctorate at some point. I remember her telling the coach that because I needed to turn in an assignment, and I didn't turn the assignment in. So he took me to the teacher because I wasn't going to be able to play. And so he got her to let me play, but I heard her say, well, they don't want to do no schoolwork. They don't want to do work they can't learn. All they want to do is play ball. And
that stuck with you.
Yeah. Like, man, I know a lot of this stuff. I just don't do homework and stuff, man. But that's part of the deal. You got to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, man, I'm going to school, and ain't nobody going to know I played in the NBA. They ain't going to know I played college. I'm going to have to get this straight on my own work. And I killed it,
Hey, what was your master's in?
My master's was in human service administration.
And your doctorate
My doctorate,
is?
Organizational leadership.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So, that's allowed me. Man. Go ahead,
Can we piggyback on what you just said about, what your teacher was saying? Because I run into this a lot, man. Every time I talk to somebody, first thing they always say, oh, you're so articulate. But it burns me, man.
Yeah,
it burns me.
We'll hate that.
Because I'm sitting there saying to myself, man, I'm 50 years old. What? I've been hearing that same crap since, I was in, high school.
Speak so well, William.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sitting there saying, what are you expecting? You
pronunciate all your words.
Right. And sometimes, man, it be coming from the cats who you look at them and go like, What have you done?
That's true, man. That's true. I know that I worked for the Jordan and the Boys and Girls Club, and I remember we had everybody that you could imagine on the board of directors. So when they turned it over to me, I remember giving this talk to all the board members. And I remember, I think it was the Pritzker daughter saying to somebody else, a friend of mine told me, she says, "Oh, he speaks so well." I'm thinking to myself, well, what do you think I was going to do?
Right.
I mean, I came before y'all, I interviewed before you all, I interviewed before the Jordan family. I mean, what did you think they were going to hire, right? Okay, I can do this, right? And so I know what you mean when people say that, it's kind of like, I mean, what did you expect,
Wait a minute, the James Jordan Boys and Girls Club that was right here in Chicago on Madison?
He ran that.
The building wasn't even finished, and they said that they wanted somebody who possibly was an athlete, but who had at least a master's degree. And this is Don Scott truth. My mom was still very mobile. She came by my office and she said, a friend of mine I ran into of yours said they wish they knew where you were because the Jordans and the Boys and Girls Club are looking for the executive director. But they just closed it a couple weeks ago. Show you how God works, man. Here's another one.
What?
I found out where the office was that was accepting resumes. Now, mind you, it was closed 2 weeks ago. Got my resume together, my cover letter, and I sent it. The next day, I got a call from the vice president. "Hey, are you still interested? We'd like to interview you." Out of 247 applicants, I got the job.
What?
Yeah. And the building wasn't even completed.
Wasn't even completed yet.
Wasn't even completed yet. Yeah. So, there's nothing, man, that I have accomplished in my life, one, on my own, but more importantly, because of God. Seriously. I couldn't have done none of this stuff on my own, man. None of it. It's just been, when I look back, seriously, in retrospect, I'm serious, man. I know, man, again, like I said, I ain't no religious person, man, but I'm spiritual, man.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pockets macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffar, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.